the union stewards out there. I know it is not easy because you are getting it from the top and you are getting it from the bottom, but you are the glue that binds unions.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Hey everyone, Joe the editor here. Before we get into this video, we wanted to give you a quick update on certain things that will be discussed in this interview. So our guest, Dan Osborn, came onto our 32-hour live stream late at night to help us raise money for striking workers. Dan is the former president of BCTGM Local 50G, who led a strike against Kellogg's in 2021 and is currently running for what seemed like a long shot race as an independent against the Republican incumbent Deb Fischer. However, his race may not be such a long shot after all, with a new poll giving him a 2-point edge over the incumbent, despite nearly 60% saying that they had not heard of him. After being told about his background, his lead shot up to nearly 20 points, and after hearing about his policy positions, his lead increased even more to 23 points, so 53 to 30. Dan clearly has a chance to win, which makes our conversation with him, as casual as it was, all the more important. For more information about this situation, we recommend checking out an article that was just posted by The Intercept called "Shock Poll Shows Independent Nebraska Union Leader Beating Republican Senator," written by Prem Thacker and posted on December 4th. So without further ado, here is our interview with Dan Osborn during our 32-hour Strike the South livestream fundraiser.
Dan Osborn is a former BCTGM local president, actually, currently a pipe fitter, and also running for U.S. Senate as an independent in Nebraska. Dan, welcome to the program. Thanks for taking the time.
Hey, thank you for doing this. This is it's very important. I've been through it. I know what y'all are going through, so I'm glad to be here.
I really appreciate you taking the time. So let's start with you were not only actually were you a local president of a BCTGM local, you were the president during a strike in 2021, and Mel, who was just on, did a fundraising live stream for y'all back then, was able to raise about $16,000 for y'all strike fund. Talk to us about coming up in the union. What made you want to become a union, a union leader, somebody who was active in your union? What was it that kind of made it click for you that this is something of value that I should participate in and that I should, try to get others to participate in?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. And I before we get into that, I wanted to talk about, it sounded like you've raised $10,000. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very significant amount of money. But what I do know from being personally involved and having 500 of my striking members is that although $10,000 is a great amount of money, and the sacrifice that people have made to donate in their own personal lives, $10,000 does not go very far when it's spread out among a tremendous amount of people. So anybody who's watching this, please take that into consideration. Although, like I said, I'm not trying to detract from that number. That's a great number, but just keep in mind that when you do compounding math, that it super far. So that's all I wanted to say about that. But yeah.
Well, and on that really quickly though, that's an important point, and communities can do fundraisers and locals can do their own fundraisers, and activists and media projects can do our own fundraisers like this to try to fill small holes where we can. But that point about these fundraisers where you're raising 10, 20, 30, even, last time when we did this back in 2021, we were able to raise $70,000 for striking coal miners in Alabama, but that was divided, 1,000 ways. There were 1,000 people that were on strike there. This one, this pot is going to be divided, I think, about 400 ways. So less than 1,000, but the money, like you said, it starts to go pretty quick, and that really underscores the importance of strategic planning and thinking on the part of the local, regional, and international union leadership, because you just simply cannot raise the amount of funds on the fly to conduct a strike. You just can't. You've got to plan for it for years and years and years and years. Everybody's got to be putting away, they've got to be paying dues, and then the union has to be setting aside part of those dues into the strike fund, because, we can't, doing things like this, we cannot fully support a strike. It takes long-term strategic and financial planning. So that's a good point.
Correct. Yeah. And, the BCTGM is a great labor organization. But again, their funds only go so far too. They have a strike fund for their members, but, there is nothing more, in my opinion, American than apple pie and baseball and going out on strike.
Yeah.
So with that being said, this is it's a very courageous thing to do that these people are doing, to stand up for what they believe in. Sorry, I got some stuff going on at my homestead here. It's
all good, brother.
Actually, I just saw a Sasquatch, so I can prove that. Did you capture the Sasquatch on camera? No, we didn't. I can't prove it's real. Sorry about that. But no, it's extremely important what you guys are doing. My heart goes out to you. I've been there. I felt that, and like I said, just to be able to do what you're doing, and it is so important in our democracy. It's so important to our reality that you're standing up for what you believe in, especially when it comes to wages and benefits and how much CEOs make these days, and the CEO ratio to the median workers' pay. It's getting pretty ridiculous, and I think we're seeing that all throughout the country. We're seeing it with the IFF tonight, the UAW, and kudos to you guys. We've seen it with the Kellogg's strike before. People are sick and tired. We're fed up with this wage gap that's occurring in our country, and so that's, again, very important that we're doing this tonight, that you guys are doing this, that people are standing up for the rights. But again, I want to stress the importance of the fact that even between 400 members, these people are not getting a paycheck. They are not being able to pay their bills. And the reason why they're not doing that is not for charity. They're not doing it because they want a handout. These people are doing it because they are standing up for their rights to make our world a better place, and make it so they can earn a livable wage in an economy that is growing and that is expanding with inflation, and we have to keep up with that. So that's why they're doing it. I did it myself. We were on strike for 77 days in Omaha, Nebraska, in Memphis, Tennessee, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and in Battle Creek, Michigan, the 4 Kellogg's plants. And, I didn't take it lightly, and I understood the importance of what we were doing when we were doing it. And we won our strike, and you guys are going to win your strike too. And you're going to win your strike because the country is behind you. And every CEO that's watching this right now, I want to reiterate that the country is behind the union workers, not you. So let's do it. Let's go.
There you go. There you go. I really appreciate that, Dan. And so yeah, let's talk about some of your biographical information. You got into you were president of the local union. You helped lead the strike back in 21 to victory. And so what was it that kind of got you activated in the union and made you want to be an active part in that institution?
Yeah, so when I first started at Kellogg's, I was a young man. I didn't have the white whiskers on my face that I do now. It was, every contract that we had, I immediately signed up for the union when I joined, or when I started at Kellogg's. Nebraska is a right-to-work state, which I don't believe in. I don't think there should be a right to work state. It's actually a right to work less if you look it up. But so it's a right to work state, but I chose to join the union because I understood the importance of it back then, and as well as I do now. But when I was a young man, it was the old guys with the white whiskers that would handle the union contracts. And back then it wasn't like, oh, are we going to go on strike? Or it was like, hey, what are we going to get on this contract? It was Kellogg's. That's what I can speak of. Kellogg's was a very family oriented company back then. It wasn't so corporatized. So it was, what are we going to get on this contract? And as time progressed and as my age progressed, I would start to see that, things aren't going as well as they were when I first started at Kellogg's. So started to see regression. I started to see some things that we would give up on contracts that we would concede to. And I was like, hey, what's going on? So it opened my eyes, and it really started to get me involved. And so I saw some names on our e-board election, and that I wasn't too keen on. So I decided to throw my name in the hat. I got elected I decided to run for vice president. I got elected as vice president, and I started my career, if you will, with executive board as vice president, and then I worked my way up to president for the work that I did. Everybody seemed to like me because I'm for the people, and I always have been, and I've always tried to represent my constituents and my people within the union, or whatever it might be, fairly and justly. I didn't even see that. That's what got me involved. So I became president. I got elected as president, and that's kind of where my career began. I mean, I was a union steward before that, and I should probably start there. But I became I became a union steward because I believed that in our contract with the company, and I believe in negotiated contracts, because what it means to be in a union, and it means you have a voice. It means you have a voice in your workplace, whether it's a small issue or whether it's a large issue. People want to know and that they have a voice that they can, and people are going to listen to that voice, and not just people, but also the company is going to hear their voice. So that is what the union is, and that's the embodiment that of a union, and that's what I didn't take that lightly. So that's why I got involved. because it was important to me, no matter how small or how big the issue was, I wanted to represent people. And a union steward, and I want to reach out to the union stewards watching this right now. The union steward, some people will say, "Oh, well, that's a lower level in the union, right? It's an entry level position." For a lack of a better term, I'm going to call bullshit on that. The union stewards is what runs the union. It's really it's the first step between the employee or the union member and their company or their union. You can file grievances, and in order to file a grievance, no matter how big or how small, you have to do it through a union steward. So that, again, it's so important, that first step with the union steward, and the union steward can make or break a case or a grievance with that individual. I feel like I'm a bit rambling, so stop me here, please, because I feel like I'm rambling.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I completely agree with you about the importance of the role of a union steward. Even in a smaller local of like 100, 200, 300 people, the president can't do everything by him or herself. You have to have stewards on the ground in their own departments who know more intimately what's going on in their areas, and can not only take care of problems, right? You were talking about being able to, resolve grievances and, get good outcomes for the employees in those instances, but also to be a face for the union, to be the union's representative to the employees and to management, to the employees, to say, look, this is who the union is. The union is not the big bad that maybe management is trying to make the union out to be. The union is not a third party that is outside of our workplace. The union is right here. It's Bill that I work with side by side every single day. He does the exact same job that I do, and then sometimes he walks off the line for a little bit and does and files and works on some grievances. Or maybe in some unions you don't get off the line as a steward. You do this after work. As a volunteer, and you don't get paid for it at all. You don't get, company time to do that kind of stuff. It just depends on what union you're in. And that's, vitally important for the life and the health of the union, I think, to have those shop floor representatives and for them to be effective representatives, because, nothing is worse than a bad first impression. And if your first impression is you've got a union steward who is, in bed with the company, is not helpful, not friendly, not any sort of union stereotype that you can think of that's negative, that's not the kind of person that you want representing the union. So the union steward, very, very, very important position. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a union steward. So
Oh, good on you. I'm speaking to you then when I say, I'm former military. And happy Veterans Day. And I want to take this moment to thank all of anybody who took that time or, made that selfless act to go and serve our nation. I don't take that lightly. And again, it's also the Marine Corps birthday, so happy birthday to any devil dogs out there. But to go back to the union steward, I would like that again to the military. And as far as the military goes, the military is run by its NCO, which is non-commissioned officer, which would be the exact same as the union steward in that hierarchy. The difference between the American military and, let's say, the Russian military is the Russian military has no NCOs. It's the officers telling, their soldiers to charge in this direction. and they do so without question. And if they don't charge in that direction and they turn the other way because of a bad order, because everybody's getting mowed down by machine gun fire, the Russian military would then shoot their soldiers, right? So that's extreme, right? But with union stewards, it's basically the same thing. The union stewards are the NCOs. The union stewards are the go-between between the executives and their members. So the NCOs in an American military would say, hey, you want us to charge this machine gun nest? Why are we going to do that? Why can't we go around that? So that's exactly what your union steward's going to do for you in your shop. They're going to be your lawyer. They're going to be your voice. And they're going to say, hey, why are we doing this? And, I'm not going just to follow orders blindly. I'm going to represent you the best way that I see fit. And that is a formula for success. And again, shout out to all of the union stewards out there who have your own shops and who deal with the daily life of being a union steward. I know it is not easy because you are getting it from the top and you are getting it from the bottom, but you are the glue that binds unions.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
And so, you like you said, you were the union president of a BCTGM local, and y'all went on strike back in 2021. Can you talk to us about the issues that y'all went on strike over and what the ultimate resolution was?
Yeah, sure. So when it was October 5th, 2021, 2 years ago, if you would have told me that we were going to go on strike even 5 minutes before October 5th at midnight on 2021, I'd have probably told you were crazy. But we did. And the reason why we did is because if you remember what happened in 2020, which I think everybody does, which was COVID, the company made from 2020 to 2021, they made an extra $2 billion in profit than they had projected. So they went from a $19 billion profit company to a $21 billion profit company. And what they chose to spend that money on, in my opinion, I mean, you're just going to have to take my word for it. I don't have any concrete data or forms or sheets that I could show you, but they chose to spend that on breaking the union. And I have it on pretty good authority. Again, you're going to have to take my word for it that they spent over $700 million on breaking our union during that strike for 77 days. But we were not asking for anything really extra. I mean, we're asking for our standard raises due to cost of living and due to the profitability of the company. What they were trying to, we went on strike because of what they were trying to take away. They were trying to take away, in a time of record profits for the company, they were trying to take away initially our medical. They were trying to take away our cost of living, which is our only source of guaranteed wages. They were trying to make this two-tiered system that they implemented in 2015 a permanent system, which in short terms means that anybody hired as a lower tier would eventually stay on that lower tier, and the upper tier employees, and I hate to use those terms, but those are their terms. I haven't recoined the phrase yet, but they called us legacy employees, and I guess I'll use their terms. So they were trying to phase out the legacy employees, which is the employees that were just making a livable wage with decent health insurance and getting through life comfortably. That's what they were trying to take away. So they were basically saying that if you were a legacy employee, you would be phased out through attrition, and the only people that would be left would be the lower tier employees at like $21 an hour, which, as we all know, in today's economy is not a livable wage. So that is why we struck. So during the 77 days, we voted on 2 contracts. The first one we turned down. The second one we accepted. We turned down the first one because of that 2-tier system wasn't acceptable to us. The second one was something that, we could live with. It wasn't exactly what we wanted. Hindsight being 2020, if we had held out longer, we would have got better. But shoot, here we are. But the contract that we got in my book is a win. And hopefully this BCTGM and the IFF, they come back and they have a win, because we were in a different spot than they are now with inflation. We have to keep up with inflation, and these companies have to understand that these workers are dealing with inflation. They're dealing with the gas prices, the price of a gallon of milk. They're having to decide on. Hopefully, they're not having to decide on whether they're going to buy groceries or pay their electric bill. That's coming, right? If we allow these companies, if the companies get what they want, that's what's coming. You're going to have to decide between your grocery bill and your power bill. So hopefully, what they're dealing with right now is whether they can buy, steak for Thursday night, or the chicken, or whatever's cheapest, or whatever's on sale. I don't want to see either of those. I want every single person in this country to be able to purchase what they want for dinner on Thursday night. That's what we all deserve. We live in the richest country in the world. Why do we not deserve to make that decision for our families? And here's the deal. We trade our minutes of our lives, and we only get so many minutes, right? I don't know how many minutes I have. Maybe my minutes will end at the end of this podcast, but we only have so many minutes of our lives, and our American workers trade those minutes to that company for money, right? So the value of the minutes of your life should be worth a livable wage. It should be worth that you can own your own house, that you can have a car, that you can start to save money for your children for college, so that you can live a comfortable life, because you are trading your minutes of your life for this company to be profitable. And people come to me and they're like, "Hey, Dan, why are you so anti-company? Why are you so anti-CEO?" And my answer to that is I am not. I'm known for the strike at Kellogg's, but what people don't know about me is the 20 years prior, leading up to that strike, I did nothing but work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 16 hours on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and join committees and try to do nothing but make Kellogg's a successful, profitable company. And I traded the minutes of my life, all of these gray hairs, I traded those to the company so they could be successful. And so to ask for a wage, and if you're on strike right now and you're listening to this and you're one of those people, or if you're not on strike and you're like maybe even thinking, well, they're just greedy people. No, they're trading their minutes, and they deserve to earn the money to, again, have a comfortable life. We're not asking for Corvettes. We're not asking for Ferrari money. We're just all trying to get through this life. So that's the message.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah. Amen, brother. Seriously, I really appreciate you, and appreciate all that you've done and your devotion to the movement, and yeah, your message of solidarity. I really appreciate that. I think you're just so right, because at the end of the day, folks just want to be able to take care of their families. They just want to be able to come home safe, spend time with their families, go to the doctor when they need to go to the doctor, get the medicine they need, retire with
Yeah.
dignity. It's not a lot that folks are really asking for. And so, it's not an extreme thing. What's extreme is the inequality that we see and the greed that we see. That's extreme. And it's, it's just sad that that's not the way it's portrayed publicly often in the media. But that's why we got to have working folks and regular folks get this kind of message out and talk to people about what's really going on and what the real conditions are, and how we can change things by sticking together as working folks.
Yeah. A couple statistics. I was at an event just tonight with Starbucks workers in Lincoln, Nebraska, who have unionized, and they voted to unionize, and they are having a difficult time getting a contract. And the reason why they're having a problem getting a contract is because our United States Senate and our Congress is too, oh boy, I'm going to have to try to phrase this right, because I have a word in my head that I can't use. That's not going to come back on me, but they're too afraid to pass this act that's going to help our union brothers and sisters and our just working people, our working families, not just unions, any workers, to be able to, again, like I said, have that comfort level in their lives, whether you're a barista at Starbucks, or whether you're a factory worker at Kellogg's, or whether you're building cars at the UAW, or whether you're making tractors with John Deere, or I feel bad for leaving the people out that I didn't mention, but yeah, I mean, we're, like I said, at the end of the day, that's what we all want. And so this PRO Act has to be passed, and it has to be passed. And that is why I'm running for a United States Senate. I'm running for a United States Senate in Nebraska as an independent candidate. And I am running, a lot on a labor platform. There's a lot more, right? There's 8 million policies that we could talk about, but right now, tonight's about labor. But we need a stronger labor presence in our government. We need congressmen and senators that are not bought by special interests. And special interests, as you guys probably know, are big business. It's monopolistic corporations that run this country, and they do not want that PRO Act to pass, because that's going to be the biggest legislation in this country since the invention, or since the advent of the NLRA, so the National Labor Relations Act. So, but that's what needs to happen, and hopefully everybody watching this will, dedicate a small amount or a large amount of their money, whatever they can afford, to the striking members. But also start to pay attention to our politics in this country and to the people who are running for office, whether it's on a state level or whether it's on a federal level, like I'm running for, and just, vote for these candidates who are going to stand up for the working families. And again, it's not just union working families that I'm about, it's all working families. When union working families benefit from higher wages and higher benefits, every other working family benefits as a kind of proxy from that. So that's the importance of getting out and voting. It's easy to stay at home on election day and say, oh, well, everybody else is going to go vote for this guy or that girl. That's where the true change is going to happen in our country. I believe that. I'm here tonight to hopefully affect some change for the BCTGM and the UAW members, and we can raise some money. But at the end of the day, or the end of the year, or the end of the decade, the importance is going to be electing candidates that are not millionaires and that are not billionaires, that have accepted special interest and, again, large corporation money. It's going to be working people like myself who have decided to step forward and try to make a difference in everyday working families' lives.
I really appreciate that, Dan.
Yeah, I do too, and I appreciate you jumping into the fray, because I know it's a really difficult thing to run for office, to make that decision, to put that on your family. But we need more people like you who fight for working folks. We need people with, you know, your kind of background, who have been union leaders, who know what it's like to struggle alongside working people and know what it's like to take on corporate greed. You know, that is really, really important, that we have working class representation in politics, because we don't have much of it. And we need a lot more of it. So, you know, I appreciate you putting yourself out there for it.
Right. And I appreciate you guys doing this. It takes a collective effort, right? It's one person isn't going to change anything. It's going to be all of us. It's going to be the people who are on strike right now. It's going to be the people who have struck in the past. It's going to be the people who strike in the future. It's going to be the people who keep continually standing up for what they believe in and what they believe is right. And we know it's right. To fight this injustice of this colossal difference between this wage gap, and it only continues to get bigger. That, I believe, is the main reason why union has been having its moment for the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. And that is why the statistics that I read and the data analytics that I've run myself through a company called Enodo Global, did a pro bono data analytics. And during the time in 2021, when Kellogg's was on strike, BCTGM, Local 50G, 3G, I can't name all the G's right offhand, but we were all on strike against Kellogg's. 78% of Americans were behind our strike. Can you imagine getting 78% Americans behind anything? Right?
Right.
I mean, that is, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So that is what is empowering, you know, our BCTGM brothers and sisters at IFF and the UAW and all these people to do this now, because they understand that our country is behind them. People understand that this wage gap is getting ridiculous, and they understand that these millionaires and billionaires that are making the decisions for us at our country, we're done with it. We're done. And that is what we're seeing, and that is what we're going to continue to see until we get the changes that we want.
Yep, absolutely. Dan, we'll let you go on a but before we do that, we'll let you go on your campaign, specifically, you know, how it's going. Have you been able to have you been able to get some folks on staff and you know, volunteers, stuff like that? How is the logistics kind of the campaign coming and getting it off the ground?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for bringing that up. I wasn't expecting that, but we announced a month and a half ago. And since we announced, I'm running as an independent. So I don't have the backing of a Democratic or Republican Party for my campaign. But since we have announced a month and a half ago, we've raised $88,000. We believe our goal by the end of the year is $150,000. and we want to continue to raise money. I mean, I hate it. I hate the fact I didn't invent the game,
Right.
as far as money goes. But the person that I'm running against is a two-time incumbent Republican, and she has special interests in her corner. She has the monopolistic corporations in her corner, and those are the ones funding her. So who do you think she's going to vote for, if she gets reelected, or who she has voted for in the past? So, but what I do have is I have a really strong populist message for the people. This is a campaign, a grassroots campaign by the people, for the people. And so those are the people that we're going to have to rely on moving forward to continue to raise money. We feel like we have some benchmarks of once we start polling closer to the candidate I'm running against in Nebraska, that she's going to have to get up on the debate stage and she's going to have to talk to me, and I'm pretty sure she's not going to want to do that. We have both Democrats and Republicans, libertarians and independents, all behind this campaign. That's my message, because that's the way I see the world. I don't see the world left, right, blue, red, black, white, green, whatever color you want to throw out, or whatever demographic you want to throw out. When I was the president of the union, BCTGM Local 50G, I didn't just represent one kind of people. That's what is empowering about unions, is you're representing all people, no matter what background they come from, no matter what they look like. Everybody is in the same boat. So I am going to carry that tradition into the United States Senate in 2024. So anybody watching this, and if you want to plug it, go to osbornforsenate.com. Hopefully, hey, keep me going, throw me $10, $20, whatever you can afford. But that's what's going to keep me going. Again, I didn't invent the game, but I'm a player now in the game. And unfortunately, the game takes money, and I'm fighting a good fight. But I will be a champion for labor in the United States Senate if elected.
All right. Dan Osborn, candidate for U.S. Senate in Nebraska, former BCTGM local president. Appreciate your time. Thanks for jumping up with us.
Thanks, guys.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.